Hello and welcome to Telarus University. In this video, we'll show you how to configure and use XPressEntry for managing confined spaces within your facility. Now, just for definition, a confined space, as you can see in some pictures I have on my screen, is a place where your employee can physically enter, has restricted access for entry or exit, and is not configured for continuous stay. Now, it is useful to track people going in and out of these zones because they're very unsafe for people to get stuck in. Now, XPressEntry is very useful for configuring a virtual door by which you can track entry or exit into these spaces. Now, we assume in this video that you have XPressEntry installed, you see in the middle of my screen here, and that you have your Handheld installed and configured, which you see on the far right of my screen. Now, the first thing to do is to configure a zone, a virtual zone for that confined space. Now, note that you can do this either within XPressEntry if you have a standalone system or within your access control if you have an integrated system to your access control. Now, I have a standalone system, so we'll just do it on XPressEntry. Now, let's go into Add Edit Info. We need to go into Zones. And under Zones, let's create a new zone. Let's assume this is a manhole for your electricity. Let's just say electricity manhole. And hit save. Now we have our zone saved. The next thing to do is to configure the zone as a hazard area because when the employee goes into this zone, we know that it's unsafe. Select zone is a hazard area and hit save. Now the second thing to do is to configure a door by which the employee would go in or out of this zone, and we'll configure this on XPressEntry. So let's go into the doors. That's the next tab here, and let's add a new door. Let's call this entry manhole door. Now the start zone is where you're coming from, in this case outside, and the end zone is where you're ending up into, which is in this case the electricity manhole. Now if you have an access control system, you would have to configure the external entry and exit reader which maps into your access control just so that you can receive transactions within that access control. Now let's hit save. Now the next thing to do is to assign this door into a group so that your employees can have access to that door. So in this case, let's go into groups. This is in the case for a standalone system, but if you have an access control system, you would want to configure the access level accordingly to give access to this door to the employees that have access. So under the groups, we go into zones and we need to select this electricity manhole. In this case, I'll be configuring the all access zones and just hit save. Now let's go back into entry exit and see what happens under this zone when I go in or out. Now on the handheld side, all you need to do is to switch your handheld into that zone. Let's set door and select the electricity manhole. So now anybody going and presenting their badge on the handheld will be seen as going into that zone. And by this, you can track who goes into this confined space. So let's present some badges. As you can see, people are granted access or denied access if they have access or do not have access. Now, in this case, you can track employees going into the zone, and you can also switch your handheld to exit mode and track employees going outside of the zone. Now this is very useful for you if you want to track access into that confined space. Now in this case, I know that only Christine Knowles is in that electricity manhole. And it's very useful for you if you want to present a report or track employees at the end of your day, or make sure that employees do not spend more than the accommodated time within your facility for being in that zone. Now this brings an end to the demonstration of this feature. Please feel free to reach out to us at helpdesk@telarus.com for any technical queries or sales@telarus.com for any product inquiries. Thank you.